The federal government apologized this week about that. Also, the Edo election, has been in the rounds. The Ondo election will take place on the 10th of October later on this year. That has also generated quite a measure of conversation as well. President Muhammadu Buhari also has been given a directive with regards what next to be done in the country, as Professor Oshibajo also tries to explain why the new NBC code favors original creators in Nigeria. These are just some of the stories that are leading the rounds here in Nigeria, and it's time to share them with you as they provide perspective. Let me start off with Monday. Some of the big stories for Monday was about the response by the presidency to former President Olusegun Obasanjo with regards to his statement now. He did put out a statement clearly where he asked about the fact that the country has become more divisive under President Muhammadu Buhari, pretty much indicating that President Muhammadu Buhari has not done so much in keeping things going in some sense of unity with regards to that. But here's what we know. Well, the response by the presidency this week was that the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, should be described, or they described him as divider in chief. They reacted with an outburst with regards to Obasanjo, who is now becoming, well, Obasanjo said Nigeria is becoming a failed state. And the presidency, in a statement on Sunday, said to him that he should quit criticizing the government of President Muhammadu Buhari. The presidency said Obasanjo, in his most recent statement, attempts to divide the nation, and that the nation, while President Buhari continues to promote nation building and unity of Nigeria. According to the statement, the difference is clear. From the lofty height of Commander-in-Chief, General Obasanjo has descended to the lowly level of divider-in-chief. Now, this is not so uncommon in Nigeria, as we see situations where former presidents sometimes take jibes at the current president, saying the fact that some decisions they make may be different from the decisions they may be comfortable with at the time. Now, another story that did make the round this week was still reacting with the idea around what would describe ruthless and rapacious leadership. Well, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, described in a statement in Abuja on Sunday that President Buhari came into office where the country was under the occupation by terrorists and the treasury was wantonly being looted. The minister said it was therefore a cruel irony that those who wasted away a great opportunity to put Nigeria on a sound socio-economic footing at a time of financial buoyancy did not do that. Well, he said they planted seeds of insecurity in some parts of the country. Well, sir, the attack did go on as much of this week, with many people, of course, becoming quite uncomfortable with regards to criticism being meted out against the president. Meanwhile, the All Progressive Congress says the People's Democratic Party lacked the moral rights of posing as the voice of the people, or voice that will lead the people forward in the national life. That was also part of the reactions that did get into the brief on Monday. A statement on Sunday in Abuja by the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Yakini Nabena, also added that the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, and his vice, Atiku Abubakar, contributed immensely to the destruction and erosion of the socio-economic values of the country as well. Now, in other matters as well, 3 people were killed and several houses destroyed due to heavy flooding in Nigeria in some communities in Kudana local government area of Kaduna State, Nigeria. But the flooding, which occurred after long hours of heavy rainfall or downpour, as I would like to say it, on Thursday and Friday, forced many residents out of their homes. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency, Abubakar Hassan, confirmed that the incident during an assessment tour of the areas and the communities affected in this right. It described a situation where he went on to emphasize that NIMET had already predicted that the rainfall system for this year would be quite intense. Another story, making the round, still keeping up with a little bit of earlier this week, the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project setup has filed a lawsuit, or did file a lawsuit earlier this week against the Senate President Ahmed Lawan and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, over their failure to publish reports of all completed public hearings and corruption probes by the National Assembly, says 1999. SERAP is also suing the principal officers of the National Assembly for their failure to disclose the number of probes that have resulted in indictment of suspects and to name such suspects accordingly. So you have that also going on as part of the things that did give way earlier this week as well. We'll pick up on that. But some other stories, of course, also did make the rounds. Now, earlier this week, we did come into this week on the back heel that there are conversations as regards electricity tariff and, of course, the price of petrol as well. Talk about the increase. Talk about the fact that people are pushing in to see how they could gather for a protest that would call for the government to change its mind. Well, leading part of that deliberation earlier this week was the Labour teams, as one will find that the NUC, the NLC, I bet to say, the TUC, all coming together, one way or the other, making an attempt to deliberate with the government. But that deliberation did not go as planned because at the end of the day, it looks like an ultimatum was issued with regards to a planned strike. Now, talking about strike, there was also this week Joe Hesu, what one would call the umbrella body for the health workers in Nigeria, also did go on strike, leaving Nigeria, and Nigeria is quite vulnerable to the pandemic COVID-19. But the strike is not unconnected to the very difficult working conditions they find themselves struggling with. Now, these difficult working conditions include the fact that there is no clear-cut explanation on where insurance money in terms of the health insurance for the workers who are exposed and who face the challenges of COVID-19 at this time continue to face as well. So those are just a little bit of excerpts of some stories there as well. Earlier this week as well, U.S. imposes visa ban on some Nigerians over Edo and Ondo gubernatorials. That did get into the news. Let me take you up a little bit on that to give you the brief on that. The United States imposed visa restrictions on some Nigerians involved in the run-up to the governorship elections in Edo and Ondo states here in Nigeria. The move also targets individuals accused of working to undermine the November 2019 governorship election in Kogi and Bayelsa states as well. The spokesperson for the United States Department of State, Morgan Ortagus, disclosed this in a statement on Monday. Ortagus said those affected were working to undermine the Nigerian democratic process or for organizing election-related violence. But the spokesperson urged the Independent National Electoral Commission, political parties, security agencies, and all the stakeholders in the upcoming, or should I say, the ongoing Edo election and then upcoming Ondo election to do all they can to uphold the tenets of democracy accordingly. Now, still earlier this week, there were talks about the final rounds of the campaign was going on earlier this week when the INEC chair now, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, and the Inspector General of Police did give brief with regards to what is expected from both the security agents with regards to this ongoing election and how things should be done properly. Part of the brief is to say that the Nigerian police were being drafted to a lot of flashpoints as expected. And already, you know, about 31,000 police officers were drafted into Edo State now to cover that very election, which is ongoing right now. And there are extracts of some tense moments as well being talked about in some part of that state as well. I can see images of some civil defense DCG operations of NSCDC, Kelechi Madu, giving briefing with regards to that very election. I'm going to take a moment, just for a moment, to listen to his thoughts on this.
On the people, not to use force on them, unless when people turn riotous, that we can see a way to quell it. There's no way you can use force on any citizen of Nigeria. That's what we were told. We were told not to force people, not to use violence on them.
All right, that was Kelechi Madu there, DCG Operations, NSCDC, granting a live interview right about now, speaking about the need for the civil defense, as we know them, NSCDC, not to use force on the people. They were being administered not to use force on the people in the Edo election. That was live, by the way. It continues to provide brief with regards to that. It looks like some measure of arrangement. Trying to observe the 2-meter space in that election would be one that may be difficult to establish and see how things will go. But So much can be said about the Edo election going on right now. Continue to bring you brief in between this conversation as I juggle between what has happened that led up to the build up to this very moment in this election, and at the same time where we find ourselves in this very election and the things people are going on. Now, back earlier this week, 31,000, I did say, police officers. That was confirmed by an Inspector General of Police to say, yes, there are as many as 31,000 officers that were going to be putting up efforts to make sure that security did go as planned. Now, in other news, the President General of the United Nations General Assembly, Tijani Bande, says the COVID-19 pandemic has underscored the need of concerted efforts to bridge the global technological divide. Well, he explained that Nigerian journalists in New York, when they referenced to a report with regards to the UN indicating that 463 million children, mostly from developing countries, will be out of school at this time because of the pandemic. He explained a little bit more as regards how they intend to tackle that challenge. Let me share with you a little bit of that resolve as that did go on earlier this week as well. Quite very indicative. Let me see if I can provide you with the accurate details with regards to that as well. Okay, maybe not at this time. I'll look forward to sharing that with you as time goes on. But there's challenge with pandemic, the pandemic going on. Students still out of school, almost about 9 months now, if not 10, with the situation we find ourselves even this week. Okay, now a group of Rivers Christian professionals known as Club 401 saying they're finding it difficult to understand the continuous invitation of the likes of Dr. Obadiah Melafia, having reasons to respond to issues going on when it comes to the challenges and the killings in Kaduna, in which he raised some allegations. Well, many of you do know that the former Deputy Governor Obadiah Lafia has been invited several times by the DSS to explain a little bit more as regards the findings and the origin of his own very thoughts in this allegation he put forward. Now, just to settle on that, they say they find it quite comfortable that they should rather focus, the security operators should focus their efforts on resolving many of these issues rather than to go on to probe individuals who may have called their attention to very, very needed details, or should I say details that may help them to probe further and see how things would do go forward in regards to that. Now, there was also a moment this week where it was tough to understand where two officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps, that's the FRS, were killed, and 10 others, two officials of the Federal Road Safety Corps were killed, and 10 others were kidnapped after gunmen attacked their vehicles while traveling on an official assignment to Enugu State. In a statement issued on Monday by the Corps' public education officer, BC Kazim, the officers, who were 26 in number, were from Sokoto and Kebbi State's command. Kazim explained that the officials were on their way to the FRSC Academy in Udi, Enugu State, when the assailants attacked the two buses conveying them a total local government area of Nasarawa State. When they were attacked, the two buses were attacked, conveying them to total local government area of Nasarawa State. Explained why one of the personnel died on the spot, the other died in the hospital. Kazim explained that situation as that continues to go on. But these were some of the developments also in this same week. The September 14 reopening of the Lagos State universities was told on Monday when protesting unions blocked the main entrance of the institution due to non-payment of the minimum wage. The Greek unions, the Academic Staff Union of universities and the Non-Academic Staff Union of universities for that very institutions, locked out the returning final year students and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olanuwaju Fagbon. The protesters gathered that this morning preventing students and lecturers from getting entrance into the school premises was the only way they could push to get people to understand some of their challenges. Now, here in their city as well, there are some interesting moments that did take place. Let me give you the brief on that. The FCT administration on Monday demolished a mega store sitting on a one-story building in Dawaki district of Abuja where they say pretty much that the structural integrity test, that the building failed the structural integrity test. The FCTA officials, who were accompanied by a combined team of security operatives, stormed the area with their bulldozers and pulled down the structure. In explaining why they did so, they said a little bit more that, well, this is a situation where they find that, well, things could be done differently. Or permits should be obtained accordingly to see how things go. Now, responding, or should I say, speaking to newsmen after the demolition exercise, the FCTA Director of Development Control, Mukhtar Galadimawa, explained the exercise was carried out on the site, citing on the plot, with regards to this. Take a listen to how he explained.
The exercise carried out today on the 59 Guarantee Relocation Scheme is a follow-up the unfortunate incident where we had a building collapse and a life was lost. But before the enforcement of today, we followed due process by conducting integrity tests, and the result of the test indicated that the structure failed. So as a result of that, in order to foster and preserve any future occurrence, we have to remove the standing structure.
Let's come back to the story on fuel hike now, but that was the FCTA director there explaining the situation on ground and why that had to be done. Now, that's the pressure, the price of fuel has taken on a new value. Now, that is not sitting well with many Nigerians, I tell you. It was at some point in time 125 naira. That's just less than, just a few cents, not less than $1. But now it has increased to about 160 or thereabout, 162, depending on the type of market you're pushing forward with regards to that. But the fuel subsidy has been removed, and the government is holding its ground, saying they have all the reasons for that to be removed. Now, explaining this and this situation, the Nigerian Labour Congress again rejected the federal government's reason for the recent hike in fuel price and increase, by the way, in electricity tariff. The NLC President Ayuba Waba stated this on Tuesday while speaking during a meeting with the federal government delegation in Abuja. He said the recent hike in fuel was unfortunate as it was only making Nigerians pay the cost of what he termed as gross inadequacy and inefficiency. Well, let's take a listen to him explaining his reasons for this.
We have said time with that number, that those issues that constitute the price is part of the inefficiency in our system. So fundamentally, what is required is for us to address this issue. And I agree with you. The president said, no, subsidy is a fraud. I agree, but it's a fraud. And if it's a fraud, do we address it or do we transfer it to the customers? That is where the issue is.
Oh, there. Well, that's where the issue is. Meanwhile, that meeting was attended by the Minister of State for Labor as well, and alongside Minister of State for Labor, that's talking about Festus Keyamo, and then the Minister of Labor and Employment as well, Chris Ngige, was available for that. Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, was also on ground to make sure they listen to those deliberations as they did go forward. Now, still with Edo State now, the monarch reigning in Edo State, Oba Ewu Are II, has warned politicians and political parties against perpetrating acts capable of causing violence in the state. The Benin monarch gave the warning on Tuesday while speaking with the signing of the peace treaty before him, organized by the National Peace Committee in Benin. The Oba was represented by Chief David Edebiri, said any politician who perpetrates violence will be embarrassing his family. But speaking on behalf of the Oba, let's take a listen to that very moment where that extraction was made, and warning was also shared to all politicians in the state.
This election is particularly good because the two people who are in the front in the contest are people from reputable families in Benin. They are people from families that have been ruling, have been associated with the good administration of this place. I want to publicly announce to you that election in Edo State has never produced such scenario that people are predicting. He has been doing his very best to see that, as people are predicting, that there will be bloodshed, there will be all sorts of things, that such thing does not happen.
All right, that was the representative of the monarch there giving voice and warning to the issue at hand. However, also responding, the chairman of the committee, the former head of state, Abdulsalami Abubakar, was also explaining on the need for all stakeholders to embrace peace and disharmony and leave out disharmony in the state. Take a listen to what he said.
I urge all the stakeholders and key people here present to commit to the spirit of the accord, while also remembering that the violators of this accord are putting their integrity online, because you are signing this as ladies and gentlemen who are to be taken for your words. We therefore call on everyone to work towards ensuring a peaceful election process to ensure that peace reigns in Edo State during and after election.
Out in part two, after the break, let's take a listen to all the stories, and also I'll reconnect with another observer in Edo State to bring you updates with regards to the Edo State election. Therein, 2,201,000 registered to vote or thereabout, but then only about 1 million obtained the PVCs. That's quite an interesting moment. Of course, the police is restricting moment in the state as of today. As turn up for the election, we'll continue to observe. Start of time, I understand, is been delayed a little bit across many of those areas. And well, much has been done to keep things going and going right. After the break, we'll speak a little bit more. Stay with me.
This is Femi D Live. A great talk show unravels your thinking, makes you stop to listen, engages you in a debate of opinions.
I believe this man knows what he is.
Hey, I go on the commercial break now.
That ultimately brings you to
I go on the commercial break now. But if you have questions for me with regards to this, if you have questions with regards to this broadcast in terms of information going on, feel free to ask those questions right about now. Be able to just type them on the screen. I'm looking at the screen so I can see all you've written in. Lebron, okay, Cesar Sandova, thank you for writing in. Echo Lilicious, okay, of Great PR, thank you as well for writing in your message. So if you have questions, whether they do election or you have questions about any of the situations in Nigeria, situations in Nigeria, I'll be able to respond to you. I would see the question on the screen and be able to respond to you in real time. And if I can, I will chit chat and talk. I will chat you up and write exactly what that situation is all about. It's a live broadcast, so feel free to be part of it and understand what is going on. It's time to really let you in the real, most factual way, what is going on in many parts of the world. We'll go back on here in 30 seconds. But the election in Nigeria, Edo State, is the first election that will take place during the pandemic. So you can understand a little bit of how a lot of the modifications have been done or needs to be done. And it's being done in order to situate that people are safe. They do not come out to face and of course, the wearing of face mask continues to be a very practical solutions, practical need as well. Now, in the meantime, I must also let you in the part two that we'll be having some of contributors join us via the telephone line to give their perspective to this conversation. And I'll call out those numbers for those in Nigeria to be able to do that just accordingly with regards to that. Let's go back to the broadcast live now as we take on other issues at this time. Okay, so here we go.
Experience and build an unforgettable discussion together. I'm Femi D. Amele.
Welcome back to the show. This is the place to be. This is the Brief with Femi D Live. You can follow me and ask me any question you want with regards to the news throughout the course of this week. These are stories I can authenticate, courtesy of the newsroom of Nigeria Info. I can tell you that these stories are pretty much authentic in its own right as well. And yes, as much as possible, try to bring you in the most real sense of it, what was said, how it was said, when it was said, and to who, and well, a lot of people who listen in with regards to that. Talking about briefing the country. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of a new anti-corruption agency which will be saddled with the responsibility now to coordinate for proper coordination of all recovered looted assets. Well, briefing State House correspondents after the FEC meeting on Wednesday, the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, explained that assets recovered are being in the hands of several agencies and that better coordination will encourage international and overall coordination in recovery of more looted assets across the country. Well, he said that. And of course, many of you do know that there's been a question about who should coordinate. Where do these assets lie? How much are they sold? Who are they sold to? These are questions that are often probed the minds of Nigerians. But new agency. Will this cost too much? Here's how the Minister of Justice explained that earlier this week.
The issue of recovery of looted assets is an issue that has international dimension and colorations. For example, Financial Action Task Force is an agency that is responsible internationally, in respect of which over 100 countries are involved. And there is the sharing of intelligence. There is aspect of demand for international uniformity, both in terms of legal and institutional framework. And then if Nigeria now does not satisfy the legal and institutional requirement of it, it makes it very difficult for Nigeria to have the support, to have the understanding and working understanding and relationship with Financial Action Task Force.
All right, well, that's one way of thinking about it. Well, can politicians be held accountable? But a little bit different from that as well. The Minister of Finances as well been speaking about the situation in Nigeria. She says the economy is not actually doing so badly after all. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the nation's economy did not perform badly during the second quarter of the year, despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, she said this just after the Federal Executive Council meeting. Take a listen to what she explains as pretty much the figures that situated or give reason to how the economy is being run.
It's a good performance because it outperforms the projections that have been done by the Brentwood institutions, but also it outperforms very developed economies of the world and also economies that are comparable to us. The US, for example, went into a negative growth of 33% for the second quarter 2020 and 19% half year 2020.
All right, that was the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, giving reason and performance records for Nigeria. Well, in comparison. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has also been speaking this week. He gave reason to all Nigerians to live in peace and harmony, irrespective of ethnic, religious, or political divide. President Muhammadu Buhari made the appeal on Wednesday while unveiling the logo for the country's 60th anniversary. Talking about that 60th independence now anniversary, talking about that, there's been a little bit of scandal with regards to that. They say there's been description, or should I say comparative description of the existing logo, the logo being unveiled with comparison to a diamond jewel design that was also made at another time for another country. It looks pretty much identical to the eye, but there's been no response from the government to say whether they will be following through with that or not. Okay, take a listen to the president talking about unveiling of the Nigerian logo now.
I am also made aware the neatly encrusted diamond on the Nigerian map symbolizes our age of treasure, the worth of the Nigerian people, who aspire to the admiration of the world. In the same vein, the teal green and dark green colors should respectively remind us of our warmth, welcome in spirit and love, as well as abundant wealth inherent in our human capital and the richness of our land. All these properties made us unarguably the most prosperous black nation in the world and Africa's largest economy.
All right, largest black nation in the world. That was also in the news this very week as well. But let's bring in contributors now. If you're listening in and you want to make your comments with regards to this, it would be nice for you to call in right about now. And if you're chatting me up with regards to what is in the news on the WhatsApp portal, it's also fine. By the way, you can join in on Telegram or WhatsApp on 080-999-301 1037. That's the number for the Telegram platform. If you're writing in to let us know what is going on in that regard as well. And for those joining in via the telephone line, the numbers are 0946 00951. If you're outside Nigeria, please remember to add the international code, which will be +234. Okay, all the numbers that you can call in via the studio to express yourself with regards to some of the stories this week. 08031230293, and yes, 08095974869. I do see comments from Odin Digital 24. There he says there has to be consequences for bad behavior so that the politicians can be held accountable. You did write that in to me on apps. Thank you so much for writing that in. Okay, welcome to the show. Good morning to you. You're welcome, ma'am.
So I know everything will be as best taking away the election. But the outstanding issues we have with it, I think it's high time that our politicians understood that this world is what we call the end of the beginning of everything. The way that we make comments, you know, when they talk of it, you don't like even somebody like myself or they that because they don't say some of our politicians will say certain things that
oh there. Okay, mom is here with you. Are you there? Oh boy. Okay, well, she may need to reconnect with us again. I think I might have clicked on something. Yes, good morning to you. Good to have you, Abubakar. Good to have you on the show.
Regarding to the Oba of Benin needs to be commendable and other Oba with it. But those people do any race, very strong any race in the do, and they have wisdom and they have knowledge. And one political parties and they are government particularly put a figure on the Oba of Benin because of the Oba of Benin told two of them to abide by the rule so that this reigns the state. So I don't know why that is coming up because you will see the deputy governor of the political party in Jago and the deputy governor of All Progressive Congress and Daniel Aoud. They are from the local government, like the West local government.
Okay.
The local government is one political party that I'm keeping support with. They are going to clear all this local government. I know that I went there before this election. I know what is going on there.
All right, Abubakar. All right, let's leave it at that with you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, good morning to you.
Hello.
How are you today, my dear sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well, my dear sir. Please talk to me. What's your name?
My name is Danny Jesse.
All right, yes. Please go on. Your comments.
My concern is in a good state.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that is troubling me more is the offer of the I commend him for that peace accord that they signed into the thing. But my question is, why should he allow other state governors to come and participate in the state election? This is why this election will have some lapses. Why so a governor from Kano, from Kogi, from Rivers, all of them will come for a particular state election, and you expect the other election to be free and fair?
But you know that's been the tradition in Nigeria.
It's troubling me so much, and they would have tackled this thing. I have said it in this session before that they shouldn't allow governors to convert in this state for this thing. Let two people decide for
themselves. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Well, it's been a tradition. I mean, supporting governors, especially with off-cycle election, you find governors move from one state to the other, either as the chairman of the campaign committee of that very election, and they're there to support both in spirit, in kind, and sometimes in funding. Good morning to you. Yes, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Prophet Michael Uchiwoke from Babylon.
All right, Prophet. No prophecies, just straight to the point, please.
I must do my work, but please listen to me.
No, this is a public platform. This is not a pulpit. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
How are you today? Good to have you on the show.
My name is Michael calling from Ikoyi.
All right, welcome. I'm with you. Oh dear, that didn't stay. We'll move on. Okay. Yes. Good morning to you. How are you today?
Good luck.
Good luck. Share with me. I'm listening.
In the Edo election, the deputy governor of Edo State and the director of APC are from the same local government. They can never determine the outcome of the result because there is local government there. And also, as for me, I look at the two candidates, Obaseki and the Iseyamo. They're not stable. This one jumped from APC to PDP, and this one jumped from PDP to APC. Are they not coming to lose money? And they sincere.
All right. Interesting point you do raise there. Let me take one more call and also speak to someone there in Edo State. How are you today? Good to have you on.
I'm fine. Good morning. I'm Felix calling from Manaba.
All right, Felix, I am with you.
Yes, this is the type of laws that legislators are supposed to bring out, but they will never bring out such a legislature because it will not favor them. Why will governors from different states will be going for just a state election? What is happening in their state? Why can't they stay in their state and become doing their governorship in their state? As the problem they elected them in their state finish, that they are running for just a particular state election. Our legislators are supposed to sit up and do things that are right, not bringing hate speech views that are not important.
Okay. All right. Interesting thoughts from you there you share with us this very morning. There's so much to say. I intend to check in with someone in Edo State if Dr. Gabriel Nwambu is able to join us. It will be great just to get a little bit of thoughts from him with regards to what's going on in Edo State as well. By the way, 51% of the polling units in Edo Central, INEC officials say they arrived, it's believed they arrived at 7:30 a.m. Good morning to you, Doctor. Good to have you on the show, Dr. Gabriel Nwambu. Yes, this is Femidi Live. I'm Femidi Amele from Nigeria Info Abuja. Thanks for connecting with us at this time. Let's talk about INEC deployment. I understand that about 20,000 INEC officials were deployed for this very exercise. How is this a voting exercise going so far from your observation?
Yes, generally the election commencement time, which is changed subject to NCDC guidelines on COVID-19 was 8:30. But at 8:30, the movement of materials, sensitive materials from the rack centers was still ongoing. And elections in most places commenced at about 10 o'clock. So, though for now, it is difficult to know the real outcome, whether it will impact on the quality delivery of a transparent, free, fair, and credible election.
And what do you say about the security operatives? How have they be able to behave? People felt, or there were conversations about this election again, following the pattern of previous elections. The Kogi election was heavily militarized, or should I say, with heavy security, and that trend seems to be consistent with Nigerian elections even now. I understand that those states seems to have taken the same trend. What do you make of that?
The Nigerian police alone is over 30,000
a lot of the voters are already scared because the hype as far as this Edo State election is very high because there is tendency that there could be pockets of violence in many places.
Okay, interesting. I understand the incumbent governor, Godwin Obaseki, did vote at about 10:36 a.m. That was about 40 minutes ago. Oh, no, not up to 40 minutes ago. Barely 30 minutes ago at his polling unit at Emokpae Model Primary School in Oredo local government BDCT. I understand he has voted. What do you think of the candidates? Has any of them expressed displeasure about the planning and arrangement thus far, or all things seems as planned so far?
Well, I'm in my own domain. I have not heard what any of them have said. You are just telling me because I'm also observing the elections. What it is really is that it's still too early to know the way it's going, subject to security. Where we usually have problems is the collation and transmission of results. That is where we always have riggings, where we always have shootouts, where we always have manipulations of electoral results.
And no social distancing or physical distancing seem to be observed in almost all the polling units. I've seen images, videos, and the likes of them coming. Nothing of such nature. Is NCDC? Should they be concerned? Should we be concerned about those states, and especially during this pandemic?
Yes, this is a major issue for concern. Right now in Edo State, most people, almost everybody here is wearing a mask, which is compliant to the NCDC guidelines on COVID-19. But the social distancing calls for worry. People are all determined to exercise their franchise, and their zeal is overwhelming. So it makes them to tend to violate that social distancing principle. But the crowd is overwhelming too.
In other words, the voter turnout is positive. It's good compared to the number of, almost everybody. Are you saying the number of people that obtained the PVCs, most of them did turn out in the polling units you've followed through with?
Hello, please comment.
Oh, I'm asking you because we understand that over 1 million people obtained their PVCs. Now, in the areas you have observed so far, how is the voter turnout? Is it in large numbers, or is it just in very, very sad numbers?
Yeah, in some areas, we have very little. The turnout was not impressive. There are places like the Apapa area, we have very massive turnout of voters. But in the GRA, we do not have as much turnout as we have in Apapa. But all the same, it is not yet guru. It is difficult to ascertain because information subject to the number of people we disseminated in the 18 local government areas and 192 words in those states are still bringing in reports.
Okay, well, I've just also confirmed that Ize Yamu, who is the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, has also cast his own vote just about 2 minutes or thereabout ago. He has put forward his own vote, hopefully voting for himself. Obviously, that will be the choice he's making. But we have to say a big thank you to you, Dr. Samuel, I said Samuel now, Dr. Gabriel Nwambu, for joining us from Edo State this morning to give analysis of what is going on there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, there you have it. Two of the leading candidates have voted. One did vote at about 10:36 a.m. That will be Governor Obaseki there voting for himself. And just about 2 minutes ago, Isayam also did vote for himself. I've confirmed that the latest numbers for you. They've come forward. The crowd looks like the election is finally getting some spice and some life into it, as regards the early hours where over 50% of the polling units did not open before 7:30 a.m. according to information reaching me from Yaga Africa. Most of the polling units have moved up to opening after 8:30 a.m. Nigerian time. Let's take some calls before we do check in with our commercial at 11:05. Good morning and welcome. All right, kept you on the line too long. Let's see who's with us. Good morning to you.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Mom is calling you back.
Good to have you on.
You know, before now, the turnout of voters in the Edo election is always not impressive, but this one, the stakes are high.
Mhm.
So a lot of people will come out. You know, the truth of the matter is when we talk of election in this part of the world, GRE, the term has don't always come out to cast their vote, and they are the ones tomorrow that will ask for one particular thing or the other. I just want to appeal to the security officers on ground to please do as small.
Okay.
And I want to appeal to Edo people, come out. You don't need to vote, campaign again. Just cast your vote. The first person will always win the election. We need free, fair, credible, balanced, free election. The stakes are high. This will determine how 2023 will look like. But I tell you, Edo people, they know they carry last. And this idea of governors leaving their states to a particular state, I don't buy the idea. But we don't want anybody to speak for us again. This is the time for the voters to speak
Okay.
for one another, speak for themselves and speak for each other. All these are leaders that are going on radio saying this and that. Please, we need this election to constitutional crisis. And the issue of over, one life and life is a pity. In Edo State, the offer is somebody that we respect so much. And I don't know why politicians want to now start introducing what I don't know. The Almighty Allah help us. After these things, we are going to talk more.
All right. We'll talk more. Via the WhatsApp portal, I do have a message. Good morning, dear family. Actually, I believe we need new Nigerian democratic nationalists for the new development we aspire to have. That's according to a message that's coming. I'm trying to pick up on your name now. Oh, dear. I missed out on it. Good morning to you. Yes. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good.
Good morning, my name is Faith.
All right. I'm listening to you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I want to talk about the election, the issue of governors going to support them. I think if you have to support any governor, it should be verbal, or maybe like after the election, they don't need to go to the state to support them, because today is not a day for them to just go there and stand. And issues like that, the issue arising from other states, I don't buy the idea of governors going to the state to support them. Those states should be able to make decisions. The governor should be able to make decisions. Needs to take charge. There should be credible elections. We don't need things that would other issues like violence and all that. INEC should be able to make this election free and fair. Credible elections. Credible elections. So I don't just buy the say they can support them others and they not say.
Not there.
Support them in every other state, but going to their state to support them. I don't buy that idea.
All right. Thank you so much, Faith. I'm glad you called in. It's good to hear from you. Ayokomi from Kuba says, good morning from D. I want to react to the Minister of Finance comment. Why would she not say Nigeria's economy is not doing badly when she when she's thousands of miles away from reality? When was the last time she went to the market? We don't buy market. We don't buy market with ABC. Ayokomi from Kuba expressing himself. The Premium Times Center for Investigative Journalism is reporting that already the local government area Ministry of Education at 9:30 a.m. earlier today, the polling unit 28, Ward 6, that the total number of registered voters 692. Election was peaceful there, but some party agents were involved in a fight and everyone had to run for their safety. That was earlier. Let's hope things are now settled in a little bit more. They were reporting that earlier from what happened in the day. So we'll keep up with them. There's so many other unusual silence, they say, as well, in another location in the 1048, while some other areas look good. Ward 7 of Oredo local government area, Sige Primary School, looks good. Quite a number of elderly people were there as well. Oh yes, I've got to go now. Just 2 more minutes for me to round up on this. Who's with us? Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm fine, and you?
Very well. Good to talk to you.
No matter who, the position everybody here is that everywhere is calm and there's no one except in Oredo, where the governorship candidate of Governor Bateki, so where they have a species of and it has been resolved. So far so good, we thank God, everything is going on smoothly. There is no complaint from both ACC and PDP. So we thank God that at the end of the day, every we show the whole world that they are peaceful, loving people. And they will show their governor in respect of whatever is happening there. God bless them, God bless Nigeria.
Amen. I understand that's about some minutes past 10 a.m. Adams Oshiomhole, the former Comrade governor, has also put in his own vote at his own location, as well as the two leading candidates. They've done theirs. 10:36 a.m. Would have to be the time where one of the candidates, that's Obaseki, put his own vote, while at 10:50 or thereabout, Isi Eyamo also did put in his own vote. Oshiomhole was spotted on the queue at about 10 o'clock, doing 10:09 a.m. doing the same. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got to go. You've been briefed with regards to what is going on. Stay with us on our drawing for all day long. We'll try to bring you updates as things do go on with Edo State election. We'll be making an attempt to bring you updates as we have them. Time to check in for a commercial. We'll be back after now.
The news like the news. Trust me, I can prove it.
Thank you and see ya later.